Have you ever wondered what is in the mind of a CEO? Well, guess what? You about to find out right now, all right? My name is Kenneth Allen Thomas. Welcome to Unshakable Conversations. And I have another very special guest that's here to help you transform your mindset, take you to another level, and you can experience a little bit of his personal journey as well, too. This is the CEO of Adept Programs. And why is this near and dear to my heart? Because people at Adept Programs do more than just the norm, right? They do something that is beyond what the average person does. It's a 24-hour service, not business, service to the people that have special needs and special abilities as well too. So guess what? I have the CEO of Adept Programs right here to take us through not only his personal journey, but what we're going to be talking about with Adept Programs and taking it to another level, redefining what good looks like. Mr. Jake Jones, welcome to the show, my man. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hold on, let me hit the, oh, I hit it. Here we go.
Redefining what good looks like.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. How are you?
Oh, great. Thanks,
Looking spiffy.
Man. Oh, you too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Listen, man. First and foremost, thank you for doing this. You know, our audience is, very unique, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of them are oftentimes looking for that next thing, that next goal. And I try to bring on people that have went through some fire and have achieved, an immense amount of success and things in that nature. So I'm happy that you're here to kind of give us some insight and everything, cool. as well too. But before we get into all that, let's talk about you, man. Let's talk about you. How did you get to becoming, the Jake Jones that we see today?
Oh boy. That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Well, it was a very tricky journey I went through. I won't go back too far, but I went to school for music.
Okay.
So I'm a musician.
Okay.
Basically, I toured and all that stuff. I'm a bass player, played upright.
Okay.
And jazz and classical.
Yeah.
But mainly made most of my money playing rock and funk and stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
So I did that for many years. Then I wound up being in the military, stayed in the military for 10 years, came out. Then I was kind of looking for my next thing in life. I was married, all that stuff. And I just took a job at a place that serves people with disabilities. While I was finishing my undergrad, I was in school also.
Right.
So when I did that, I was actually going to school for teaching. I thought I'd be a teacher, music teacher, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that job changed my whole life.
Yeah.
And I stayed in this field, and I would say a pretty fast trajectory. I ascended really.
Was there quickly. like a connection of disabilities and everything, and how you got into this field, or something that you just?
What's funny? I really didn't know much about people with disabilities, and I was like everybody else. I really didn't know what I was. I had a lot of the uninformed opinions, about that. I just say that I went in there with an open mind, and I was pretty shocked at the acceptance. This is interesting. It wasn't about me accepting what challenges they have. It was really about them accepting me. I went there the first day I went there. Real quick story.
Yep.
First night, my boss then says, "Come in. We're having an event. I'm going to introduce you to folks that you're going to serve." Right. So I said, okay. It was like a dinner dance. So they had dinner, and then they had this dance, and they were dancing and really cutting it up. I came in. I've never seen anything like this. They're having a great time. I come in. She stops all the music, and she says, "Hey, everybody, this is your new recreation manager, Jake Jones." They all erupted into applause, cheers, and ran over and gave me hugs and stuff.
Wow.
So I'm like, this is unusual. Most jobs, people are kind of looking at you funny.
Yeah.
Who's this new person?
Yeah.
They accepted me right away.
Wow.
So definitely flipped my mindset. I'm like, wow, this is different. So I knew I was in for something that I didn't expect, but I really didn't know what I was in for.
Right.
And it was just a whole journey of learning. It was really learning and development for me. I just learned, and it may sound silly or trite or something, but people are people.
Yeah.
And these folks have disabilities, but it has nothing to do with intelligence.
Right.
And the more human we just treat everybody, the easier things get.
Yeah.
These are human beings.
Yeah.
They understand humor. They get what you say. They remember what you say.
Right.
They just have mainly social skill deficits that you have to help them through.
Right.
Like you and I can reassess things and
Right.
get through troubled spots in our lives. Where some of the folks I serve have trouble. Maybe they get up in the morning and they get on their van to go to program, and there's a detour in the road, and it messes up the trip.
Wow.
And they struggle with that because they're just used to, or somebody's in their seat when they get
Right.
on the van.
Right.
Things like that.
Very direct.
Yeah. And
Yes.
our job is just to keep them on their normal routine so that we can help them through their day. I mean, if they could do that on their own, they wouldn't need me or anybody like me.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, right? Because obviously, I have, a son with Down syndrome, Christian, right? And it's funny because Christian, his routine daily, he is in love with these two movies, right? One is Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Okay.
Like Christian loves Alvin and the Chipmunks, cool. And then he also loves Dennis the Menace, right?
Dennis the Menace, yeah.
And here's the funny part, is that with his learning, not Caleb. I got so many kids. Christian has learned with Dennis the Menace, how to say certain words.
Okay.
Okay. So, for example, apple.
Understanding
what an apple is. That actually sparked something, for my wife, as my wife has his flashcards.
Okay.
Okay. So she'll do his flashcards daily. So he's up to like 15, 16 flashcards and everything right now.
Good.
Right. And what's so cool about it is that he remembers the kid in the movie or whatever. He says apple in the movie, and Christian starts to repeat that over and over and over again. And then when it comes to his routine daily, he's used to having his food and watching Dennis the Menace, right? So when that gets kind of detoured a little bit, it's like he kind of gets a little frustrated, things in that nature. So when it comes to dinner time, he understands that, hey, dinner time is family time, at the table. We're not at the, in the TV room.
Right.
But he's seen me watch TV and eat and watch the game.
Okay.
So that's kind of like where he gets it from.
Right.
So he kind of likes doing it like that.
Okay.
But helping him redirect and go into that, dinner time is with family. You can't watch TV right now. We're at the table. Sometimes he gets a little frustrated and everything in that, and trying to help him navigate. So that makes perfect sense, to what you were saying.
Yeah. So you understand.
Yeah.
It's just about helping folks get along with their lives.
Yeah.
That's really all we're really about.
Absolutely. So how long have you been in this particular field?
So I got into this field in 2008. Yeah, no, actually 2010. It's actually less time than I thought. So this will be going on 14 years.
14 years. Wow.
So I wouldn't say I'm the typical, because I didn't come in with any kind of motive to be a CEO in this field. You went back to my high school, they would never have said Jake's going to be a CEO.
Yeah.
Now I've been a CEO 3 times.
Wow.
But yeah, so I've been in 14 years, and just I don't know, just my passion and drive and stuff kind of perpetuated me forward.
Right.
Got noticed, and then I took some chances. I had to take some leaps, really. I had to make my way, honestly. Nobody gave me much.
Right.
I really had to. I wanted more and more responsibility. I wanted leadership. I really bought into the mission of the people I serve. We really need leaders to, Adept is about redefining what good looks like.
Yeah.
Good is good. We are much better than we ever were in the field of disabilities today.
Right.
But it's not good enough. That's the honest truth. And, you need people who can think outside the box and won't accept status quo and complacency.
Yeah.
And that's just how I've always been. And I think that's really what perpetuated me to take that leap.
Yeah.
When I had an opportunity to become my first executive director job.
Wow.
I certainly didn't, I was nervous, but I'm like, you know what? Nobody's going to give it to me.
Ain't nobody going to give it to you.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So what were some of the struggles that you faced personally that helped you in your professional life?
That I faced personally? My personal life has been very complex, very complicated life coming up. I was never really sure about what I was supposed to be doing with my life.
Right.
I was always a pretty talented guy, probably just like yourself.
Yeah.
and, just talented. I could always do sports. I was good at music. I was good. Just about everything I did, I was pretty good at. And I could do a lot of things. And I had to deal with what other people thought I should be doing. I wanted to do music, and I had to deal with my parents wanting to steer me towards more of education and being the more stable fields of medicine and law and things like that. And I just, or computers, and I just had no interest in that.
Wow.
I think along the way, what I discovered about myself is I'm a pretty independent thinker. And I have a lot of strength in regard to that. And but because of the way I came up and some of the things I experienced, I had some confidence issues that I had to get past. Once I started to understand that I need to get past those confidence issues and just embrace my path. Like I was on a path.
Right.
I really always felt I was here to do something really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just always said that to myself. Yeah. Even after touring with all these great people and amazing things I've done in my life, I still felt like I'm here to do something more. But, without confidence, you don't stretch yourself to do that.
Yeah.
And just over time of going through the things that I went through, the journey I went through, and, and I've taken my lumps, on the way. But I just kept going. I had this inner drive.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really taught me the most is to really trust that inner drive. If it weren't for me and my inner drive, I would not have gone for a CEO position, my first one. And honestly, I wouldn't have gone through the things I did with each company I've been with. I've learned a tremendous amount. They've all had their different business constraints that I've had to help them through. And it's almost like I feel like I was meant to be there for each one of them at the time. And it's like, man, if I hadn't trusted my path, it's interesting. Where would I be? And where would some of these companies be? I wonder. Not that Jake Jones had to be there. But I'm just saying.
Do you think people struggle with trusting that the path that they're on?
I think they can. Yeah, absolutely. I did for a long time. It took me. I really didn't. I would say even with all the cool things I did in my youth, and I did some cool things. Like touring with Hall of Fame, music acts and stuff. You think, wow, 16, 17 years old, he's doing all this stuff. Honestly, I really didn't get my act together till I was 40.
Really? Wow.
And I'm giving away my age, I guess.
Yeah.
But I really didn't get my act together. I didn't feel like and my first son was born. That's kind of when I really started to get my act together. And I felt like, and what I mean by that is just from a leadership, no, not leadership, because I was always a leader, but just that drive, that extra drive, that belief in myself. I saw it really just around 40. It's just maturity, maybe. It's just, you go through stuff when you're younger.
Right.
You have to get past things that happen in your childhood and stuff like that. And it takes time. You have to discover it and go through it.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick, just on that topic right there really fast. Like, and we're going to get into other stuff, but I just want to know from a man's perspective, and you've been through a good amount of life and everything at this point.
Yeah.
Do you feel like men struggle with, maybe childhood trauma, like so much that it takes something either tragic or a child to end up changing their mindset to get that act, together? Like the biggest struggle that they face, and possibly do they even run away from what the past was instead of facing it and dealing with it, and having some form of closure on it, I guess?
Yeah, I think that's a scary, it's not scary. It's a reality. Yeah. I think, I went through the same thing. For whatever reason, at a very young age, I got into the habit of embracing self-development at a very, very young age. And I have to say that I went through a lot of those things. I went through all kinds of stuff. I tried network marketing and all this stuff. And while, we can talk about, those business, models and all that,
Right.
the stuff behind it was very motivational.
Yeah.
In a sense of self-development and growth, because you need that in order to really build a business. I've always been interested in building a business. I even was interested at one point in doing what you do.
Yep.
You help people. You're fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't hold a candle to what you do.
Nah, it ain't me. That's
I'm where
all,
I need
that's
to
all
be.
him right there. You know
You're
what I mean?
definitely where you need to be.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So luckily, I've had a lot of messages in my mind, seeds planted over time.
Right.
And they took, and I was able to face those things. I knew I wouldn't get what I wanted out of life unless I faced that message. Kept hitting me. I can't get what I want unless I get through these barriers. I got to face these barriers. Wow. And luckily I did.
Yeah.
What's
funny when you say that, facing these barriers, honestly, what comes to mind is a biblical story with, Jonah, right?
Yeah.
Jonah and the whale. And, most people kind of like overlook that story so much, but kind of miss the main point of that story, right? The fact is that, Jonah just kept running from his calling. And he kept running. Every time he would land in a spot, he would cause detriment to other people because he's not doing what he was called to do, right? So oftentimes we run so far away from our calling that we have this, we put other people in harm's way because we're not doing what we're called to do. And, when he got swallowed up by the whale, it was like that isolation point, right? And I think many of us get to an isolation point in life where there's nothing else that we can do. Everything's taken from us at this point. And, you either going to sink or swim.
Yeah.
You're either going to do it or you're not. And it was at that point where he said, you know what, fine. Like, I give up. I surrender, God. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do what it is that you asked me to do, even though I don't want to do it. And sometimes we do things that we have to do, even though we don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure as a CEO, there's some things that you probably have to do and you don't really feel like doing it, right? And I've learned that as, just as a father, as a leader, as a husband, as a man of God, it's like sometimes it's stuff that's out here, man. Like, I don't feel like, having to do it, but it has to be done.
Yeah.
And sometimes like me and Matt, we talk about the get it done leader, right?
The get it done leader. Okay.
The get it done leader is somebody that's going to be a switch hitter.
Okay.
And he oftentimes is going to have the stern type of attitude, but get it done by any means necessary, right? But also, he'll learn to be a little bit more empathetic when he has to be,
right,
for certain individuals, versus the more charismatic leader is just that.
Yeah.
The charismatic leader will only use charisma. They'll never have a get it done mentality.
Right.
And they may not even be with the firm or the company too much longer if they're going to have just that.
Just that. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They'll never exceed to the C-suite level or anything because of the type of attitude that they have. They're too empathetic, and when those tough decisions come about, they're not willing to make them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So when it comes to you in making tough decisions as a CEO, how did you develop that mentality to saying, you know what, I'm going to have to take these hits, or I'm going to have to make these decisions when need be, and how has that affected you, in your professional life?
Well, it's interesting. So I'd say my CEO journey, I got thrown into the fire.
Oh, okay.
Right away.
Yeah.
It wasn't the I don't know, people envision, oh, you rise to the CEO level, the top, and it's great, and you get this great office and all this money, and everything's just great. You just sit back and you have all these people helping you.
Yeah.
That's not every CEO position, you know. So it certainly wasn't my first one. So, I had to learn to really quickly that, one, the everybody's fate and the company's prospect for the future is rested on these shoulders. And it's very humbling. Like, so my first experience being a CEO, when I first got the job, I couldn't believe it. I was out of my mind, dopamine. I felt like it was an unbelievable day. I still remember the day and how I felt.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right.
The next thing I felt was fear. Like, wow, wait a minute. Now this really happened. I got this thing now. I really gotta be successful at this, right? So it was humbling right away. Then I got into the position. And the people started. You see the difference how people start treating you.
Yeah.
Right away, people are treating you extra nice and all this other stuff because they want to get in your favor and all this stuff, right? But then after it's like a honeymoon period, and then you start unveiling all the stuff. You start to really see what the problems are and what's going on. And my challenge was, that I went into, like, every company I've been in has been a legacy company. What I mean is, like, they've had a founder who started the company, and pretty much the same leadership's been there the entire time, and they've been around for a couple decades, and you have people that worked there the whole time. They're used to that one leader. Now you have this new person come in, and people don't care how smart you are. They don't care what you know or what you've achieved. What they care about is what they know and how they're feeling. So I had to learn really quickly that I have to come in here and I have to work with the culture.
Yep.
And because the culture is not going to just change. Culture change is like the hardest thing right away. So those challenges, and I really went through it with the first company I was with. It was really, really tough. The company's back was against the wall. I had to make some really tough decisions. I could not conjure the culture to come along with me, kind of the way I'm doing, with the Adept. It's more of a process. We're working through it.
Right.
I didn't have that luxury. They were really up against the wall, and I had to make some decisions that were very, very stark in regard to how we did things and versus how they're used to doing things. Right. And people, I got a lot of resistance and pushback, and it was a really hot seat for that. But I stayed in it. I wouldn't quit. And there were days I felt like, man, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just move on and go back to these less responsible jobs.
Right.
No, I stayed in it. I took my lumps, dealt with it. And then what's funny is I stayed there for about 2 years. And when I started getting comfortable was right at the time I was about to leave. I decided, okay, I've done enough here. I took the company where it could go. Their appetite for growth wasn't much more than this, so I needed to do something else because my appetite for growth I grew. Yeah. I grew from all that stuff.
Right.
And I was ready to take it further, and just the appetite wasn't there. So I figured I'd move on to another challenge, So that journey, that process, going through those things and facing those challenges, no matter how tough it gets, don't quit. And if you stick it through, even though it's painful, you'll grow. And you'll be better for it. And I'm grateful.
It's funny, everyone says that, right? It's like the most cliche thing.
It is. Yeah, I know.
But the here's what I want people to understand. Although cliche, there's so much truth behind it.
Yes.
And so much proof and evidence behind that one statement that if you actually do it, it's going to happen. Because every person, I believe, that wants that type of success has heard, hey, stick it through. Right? And just continue and stay the course no matter what. Every person knows somebody, at least one person that has done that. Right? And if you need evidence, you look at that person. You look at that individual. You can't sit here and say that you don't know what that looks like, because think about it. We're all a success. Think about it. Like, you were born. And the fact that you were born is a success because the woman that birthed you stuck it through the pain, through the agony, through the sickness, through all the different things that she had to go through during the pregnancy of those 9 months. You were then birthed, and that is the success. Right? Whether the relationship dwindled or not, you still have a connection to somebody that has stuck it all the way through for you to actually be here?
That's a good point.
If people kind of look at it like that, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that it could be cliche and stuff like that, but really think, like, you know, viewers at home, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, you know, but really think about that particular statement and everything right here. I want to jump into Adept, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So let's talk about Adept, right? Let's talk about, you know, how you got started with Adept and things of that nature. But first and foremost, what is Adept? For the people that don't know Adept, you know, you have the opportunity now to explain to them, you know, what is Adept, how long it's been here, and what we do here.
Okay, yeah, Adept is a company that it's a human service organization, and we provide the care, the 24-hour day, 7-day a week, 365-day a year care for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we provide the living environment, which is a group home, or it could be an apartment, depending on their level of independence. And then we supply all the supports they need, making sure that they have the oversight, they get their meds, they're taking their meds, if they need help getting dressed or, you know, bathing, whatever it is that they need. That we make sure they get that. We take them to the doctor, all that stuff. So Adept's been doing that for nearly 50 years now.
50 years, wow.
50 years. I'm the third CEO of Adept in its 50-year history. So what we just went through with Adept is more of a brand update. We needed a refresh, you know. So while it's still called Adept, what we're starting to focus on now, which came out of me getting on board and figuring out how we're going to grow to that next level, is addressing serving the people that we serve, but to serve them well, we have to make sure that we can serve more of them. There are about 1 million of these folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities waiting for housing, needing to get placed in homes. You know, certainly there are other businesses that are designed to send staff out to families to provide care in the home, in the family environment. But most families eventually, that runs its course because most of them eventually can't do it anymore. So they wind up coming to human service providers anyway. So what we're looking to do and what will help us grow is by just us growing. We need more operational sites. We need more homes in place so we can serve more people. And going forward, we want to continue serving people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We also want to help, where we can, serving people who are in other demographics. You know, veterans. You know, and other marginalized populations as well. So what we are looking to do is build communities. We want to build integrated living communities where we have homes that are designed with an accessibility first mentality, right? So you have the larger hallways, you have the ramps, all the stuff that people need, especially with any kind of disability or challenge, physical challenge, so they can live in dignity. And we design the communities as well so that the folks are embraced in the fabric of the community. So quickly, you know, so for example, I live on a street where there's a group home. Incidentally, I used to run the organization that the group home is owned by. While they're great, the home is nice, the neighborhood is wonderful, but you don't see the individuals being a part of the community much. Like you know, they're not at the barbecues. You know, they're not, you know, they're just not, you don't see them in the community much, where like you see your neighbors, you wave and you have conversations. Of course. That's not the story there. And that's in most communities, I say, where people live who have intellectual and developmental disabilities, and they live in a group home in a neighborhood. You know, they're really not embraced in the fabric of that neighborhood. So we want to build communities where they are embraced in the fabric of the neighborhood. They really feel a part of it. They develop friendships. They get involved in activities. Right. So they have friends that are maybe have similar challenges that they do that can relate to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So would you say that this is like the core mission and vision
Absolutely,
of Adept?
100%.
Wow. So How has can you elaborate a little bit on how Adept has evolved over the last couple of years?
Yeah, sure. So we had to transition from so we had our founder, Mr. Cologne, who started the organization, and then Mrs. Harris, his daughter, took it over. She ran it for a decade or so. At the time, I was participating as a sort of a board member when she was interested in stepping off, and I was in transition at the time as well. And she had talked to me about, her wish to kind of move on with her life, and she was, she asked me directly, would I be interested? And and we thought about it for a while. We talked it through. I agreed eventually, and then I came on in 2021, July of 2021. So our process really was, kind of going through the offloading of one leader, and for a time being, we were there together. So it was just like getting the staff to kind of get used to that. Then the slow peeling away of really getting under the hood and seeing where the challenges were, and where the revenue's at, and what the cost of doing business is, and how do we do better, and so that's been a whole process, and it's taken really 2 years to kind of write some things, see what positions really we have, and are people in the right positions? Do we have, maybe we're a little top heavy here.
For sure.
We've had to right size a couple times, and, and we've had to work on our, some of our policies and the way we do things, so that,
of course,
so that we don't incur, incidences that raise our insurance. That was a process as well.
So there's so many different tedious things that a lot of people don't really see necessarily, like, behind the scenes. Because here's the thing, I see people all the time, and they're like, I'll go to like a networking event, right? And I'll get a business card from somebody, and they're like, yeah, I'm the CEO of this, or I'm the CEO of that. And I'm just like, are you the CEO? Or are you just like a founder right now, right? Because the CEO is like, you could anybody could be a founder of a company.
True.
But the title CEO, right, is much more in depth than people actually think.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially on a business level, and I just want people to understand, like, look, titles are great, but have you done the work to actually say that you are what you say you are?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
And I just want the listeners out there to understand, like, what you're getting right now is in the mind of a CEO, the transitions, the changes, the things that come along with that, because I believe that it's going to help you all in your own personal journey. Some of you are CEOs in your own right, right? It may be business, it may be personal inside family, right? And there's certain decisions that you kind of got to make, but you got to understand that there's a certain level of CEO that we're all at, right? So there's a certain level there. So I want to talk about this, right? Redefining what good looks like, right? It's such a powerful statement. And when we talk about redefining what good looks like, I think it's perfect for the life that we're living in right now. Think about it. We've got so much going on in our country, overseas. The wars going on. There's so many different things happening. You've got politics, you've got race, you've got religions, you've got all these different things happening. And I oftentimes tell people, I don't think that one person can save the world. I think that that's that's up to Almighty God, right? But what we can do is be a community in saving the world, right? What we can do is be, a group, or oftentimes I'll sit there and say, change doesn't start in the White House, change starts in your house, right? And when we look at it that way, the change that you bring to your children inside this small space, right, can spark a change that can manifest into the outside world.
Right.
right? The things that they learn inside that training home, the things that they learn here can then transfer over into their schools, into their jobs, into the careers, into their own businesses,
Right.
and things in that nature. So I oftentimes the change starts in your own house, just more so the change starts in your own community. So when we talk about change, we talk about redefining what does good really, look like, and for how does that guide Adept's initiatives of redefining what good looks like.
Well, well, like I was saying, I kind of literally iterated before. We're in a good space, like as
Yes.
far as the business of disabilities. I'll just relate it to that.
Right.
Right. But we're not where we really could be. When you have 1 million people waiting for
Yeah, that's
housing,
huge.
right? And unfortunately, the reality is many of them will die waiting. That's unfortunate. It really is. So for me, for Adept to do well, we need to grow. So incidentally, our growth and what our needs are internally match, or is a good match for what the crises needs. It needs solutions. So we need to build more homes. We need to put more people in and provide living communities. That's great. But going forward, we need to also figure out how to wash, rinse, and repeat and do that more and more and more. And also, with this new environment, well, I call it the new environment. What I mean is there are a lot of companies that are coming into the human service field that are smaller. They're just getting started, and they have a lot of constraints to, buying group homes. One, because housing inventory is so low, and then two, because when you do find housing inventory, it's extremely expensive.
Right.
So they have barriers to purchasing homes. So for us, our model can actually help them too.
Gotcha.
I mean, if I build a community and it has, 20 homes in it, I don't need all of them for Adept necessarily. If we can help some other organizations, get over their barrier to purchasing a home, then that helps another company.
Yeah.
Right? Gets them a start. So it kind of exponentially
Right.
kind of helps the whole
Yeah.
movement.
So we're talking about basically not only are we being inclusive, but we're also collaborating
Correct.
at the same time.
That's right. I mean, that's the root of all success, collaboration. That's
Right.
how the human race has
Absolutely.
succeeded.
Yeah,
We've
absolutely.
collaborated,
Yeah.
So redefining what good looks like starts with leadership and starts with your thinking and how you approach things and your mindset. And that kind of trickles down to everything else, and everything kind of benefits from all that.
Got it.
So so that's what we mean, redefining what good looks like. We're going to redefine our mindset. We're going to position ourselves for success, and we're going to go after what we need, and also make a path to help others as well. And hopefully we inspire other people to want to do this too. Look, if we do this well for the rest of our lives, the rest of my life, I still wouldn't make a huge dent
Right.
in those millions of people waiting for homes.
Right.
If I put up 1,000 homes, that's awesome.
Right.
Really, that's incredible.
Yeah, incredible.
But you
Right.
still have
Still have 900 some
900,000,
thousand.
and that number just keeps growing over time. It's going to
Right.
be more and more and more.
Right.
So we need more people
Right.
into this.
Wow.
So collaboration not only helps our company, helps other companies grow, but also maybe inspire more leaders
Right.
to do this.
And I think that that's really what it comes down to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, inspiring more leaders, inspiring other people, being inclusive, and having that type of collaboration amongst each other. Like, it's like a mission that collectively we should all be on.
Right.
How can we join forces and use our resources to help this particular cause?
Right.
Right. These particular people. Because I believe that everybody has somebody in their family that they're probably connected to that may have some form of a disability.
That's right.
And think about what you can do, or maybe someone has unfortunately passed away, and you never got the opportunity to help because maybe you were too young at the time, and now that you're in a better position, or you may know somebody that is in a position, it's so many different avenues that we can, switch this around and help others. And this is kind of like why I help the Down syndrome community so much, and I advocate for the Down syndrome community. Also,
awesome.
Advocate for the childhood cancer community and everything as well too, because maybe I don't have all the resources just yet, right? But I do have the connections. I do have the collaborations, and I'm blessed with the voice,
right?
To voice this for them, to advocate for them.
That's right. Yeah.
And if I can do that, it's kind of like with Rod's Heroes. It's the same thing with them. And for those that don't know what Rod's Heroes is, Racing for Orphans with Down syndrome. Like, children with Down syndrome, a lot of them become orphans because, their families feel like they may not be able to take care of them, or a bunch of different reasons and everything why. But neither here nor there. It's people like us. We can inspire the change and spark the change in other folks that say, hey, I can bring this to the table.
Right.
I can bring that to the table. And I think that people think that it's just the money. But it's not just money. Like, you can bring your influence to the table.
Yeah.
Like, you can bring, your skill set to the table. You can bring so much to the table that it can then spark somebody. I give you this. So yesterday, was it yesterday? Wednesday, we were in church, and pastor at the end of service said that someone that doesn't go to our church has seen what we've done, have seen our church a couple times online, but knows somebody that goes to the church. And he's not a member or anything like that, but came and dropped a significant seed for the church.
Oh.
And it was just like, man, just out of no. Sometimes it's about who you are as a person and who you're connected with.
Right.
That's going to spark the seed for something else to be birthed and something else to be, like maybe that, and I thought that was amazing, because I think that even in these communities that can actually happen.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. That can actually happen. And also I think from an educational standpoint that maybe this is also something that we can start teaching, our youth about as well too, more and more. Like, this may be another avenue where they may want to go into, when they become adults or something like that, on how they can help in these communities. So I wanted to ask you from a success story standpoint, right? What are some of the success stories, in particularly that inspired, Adept, and, some of the success stories that you guys have had over the couple, 50 years or so?
Well, I I always am grateful to Mr. Cologne, our founder, for, his courage to start this. So, I mean, I and then, I always think about that, man, if he never started this company, like what how many people would not have a place,
right,
and not have had that care. And then for, his daughter, Mrs. Harris, to step up, and then take over and, and run the company, which is, it's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
So, I get inspired by that. Oh man, success stories. There's so many.
Yeah.
That I get inspiration from, over the years. Just people that.
What's one that sticks out to you like the most?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. Well, to be honest, I don't want to go political. But,
it's all good.
But I was really inspired by, the President Barack Obama.
Okay.
To be honest.
Yeah.
I think in my lifetime, that's one of the most prolific successes that I've been able to witness in my life, because I was not sure that and in my lifetime, that I'd see a person that looks like me, at the
president.
helm of the
Right.
of the
Yeah.
country. And to be honest, that really was it's funny, that was very, very inspirational. I can remember like tears coming down. I really felt like, it was evidence that despite what's going on today and all the sort of chaotic things that are happening, you can't take away those kind of things. That set a precedent. Like, okay, it definitely changed. Like, okay, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
Like there is no more. There's like that's proof. There is no barrier
Right.
for people that look like me.
Right.
I can do what I need to really do. He showed me that you really can be what you want to be. He made it happen. That for me personally, to kind of push forward and push through barriers.
Right.
That's kind of what did it for me.
Wow.
I'm so grateful for what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So does that translate into how you engage with, the community even more at Adept, like with the, the DSPs, the clients, the supporters, how's that engagement, that particular, seeing that success with Barack Obama and seeing where he was able to go as far as being, at the highest position in this country. And did that spark the engagement factor for you with the
absolutely 100%.
DSPs, clients, and elaborate on that.
100%. I've just felt this real responsibility to just be everything I can be.
Wow.
So like, I never say no to a challenge.
Yeah.
If there's an opportunity to learn something, I'm always there. If somebody asks me for help, to be on a board or take charge of a board or consult or whatever it is, whatever I can do to help someone.
Yep.
I feel a responsibility to do it civically, to do that.
Yep.
To be everything. I think you're here to give your gift. Like we talk about at times. You're here to give a gift, and I'm here to give mine.
That's right.
And that example did help me to open up and really not worry about outcomes so much. Like you talked about how people sometimes perceive, money or, that you get money or perseverate or how much money somebody makes from doing something. And I always look at it like, well, you may make money and maybe you deserve to for doing something really well.
Absolutely.
And helping people. But at the same time, to me, as long as the impact of what you're doing outweighs the money you make, who cares about the money? And that's how I always looked at it. And so you shouldn't feel bad about that. I mean, if you look at what I've done working in nonprofit for many, many years, I wasn't always getting paid well. So, my family had to sacrifice. I had to sacrifice for my family to help these organizations over the years, So if I'm doing better now,
Right.
good.
Absolutely.
But my impact over the years, I can look back and say, well, I've helped a lot of people.
Right. Awesome, Matt. I wanted to get you in and everything real quick and everything. I didn't know if you had a question or anything to pop on real fast. My bad. I think I caught.
Listen, I'm here. I'm or am I always ready? I am ready. So one of the things I would love to learn about leadership, I had said this quote a few times. There's two type of leaders, one who can be great on their own and one who can make other people great. When I think about that quote, I think about making other people great. You have to learn how to work with people and learn how to build from a team perspective. Because some people, they can be the type of leader as long as they're good, then they perceive that everything else is good. Then you have a type of leadership where it's more about everybody kind of leveling up. That's their style of leadership.
Yep.
So my question is, from a CEO standpoint, how do you navigate teamwork? Because you being the overseer, there are things that you're going to see that other people that are doing operational work may not see.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate as a team collectively?
Well, the first thing you have to you realize you can't do everything yourself. No matter how good you are, how smart you are, whatever, you can't do it all yourself. So you have to relinquish responsibility and power to people and empower people, and let them know that you have confidence in them.
Yeah.
The big transition from being more of a well, I've always been in management, so management really is coaching. You become a coach.
Yep.
And you learn how to instruct, and you have to love doing that. To be honest, you can't. I've always, like I said, I wanted to be a teacher. That's what I wanted to do. I've always found that when you teach something, you actually learn it. The skill that you think you're good at, you actually understand it better through teaching other people.
Teaching other people. Yes, absolutely.
I was a really good musician, good bass player, right? So over the years, all the practice and thousands of hours and all the stuff I did, I took so many things for granted.
It's so good.
So when I started teaching kids,
Yeah.
that was when I really got humbled.
Yeah. Come on. Yep.
You know what it is. The kid's going to come to you and say, I want to do this, right? And you go and you listen, and it's some guy like, blah, 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 all over the place, right? And I'm looking at this little kid, and he can't even hold the bass. So it really humbled me, and I realized, okay, I've really got to get into, okay, this is how you hold it, right? This is how you're going to get this sound. This is how you're going to get this sound. And as you go through that, I actually became better. I actually started to understand what I was doing better.
That's so good.
It's interesting, So that I fell in love with that, and over the years, I've always liked teaching.
Yeah.
Helping people. And I think it starts there. I mean, when people see that you really are, you're not talking down.
Yep.
You're just trying to lift them up.
Lift them up. Help them navigate.
Right. You're saying, look, you're good. You compliment. There's always something good to compliment. And but maybe you could do this better. Or let me know where are you struggling? Are you having any trouble? Let them talk to you.
Yeah.
Tell you what they need, and you try to offer some perspective.
Right.
So I think the question was great. By the way, I think that builds trust. You kind of build credibility with people. In order for you to help them, you have to have some credibility.
Yep.
And it's not about what you've done and all this other stuff. Nobody cares, ultimately. No. It's about how you make them feel in that moment. Every moment, it's how you make them feel. Like, I could be great for 10 years, treat everybody wonderful, and just have a bad day. And then I'm in the dumpster.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
Yeah. What have
Because
you done
people
for me
feel that
lately?
way about you at that moment.
Yeah.
You're garbage.
Yeah.
So I have one more question. Is that okay?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
So when we talk about, and that was a great response as well.
Okay.
So when we talk about teamwork, right? And so how do you speak to the person that's going from more of a solopreneur to an entrepreneur? And we have people on the channel that does the same thing. They're using their skill set, and now they're having a business, but now they're the one that has to kind of do everything, right?
Yeah.
So some people, and even myself, we may need a little bit of help, mentorship, and wisdom from somebody like you to learn how do we shift from a solopreneur to an entrepreneur. But the question is this: what does a good team look like to Jake? What are the essentials of a team? So from your experience, what are the essentials of the team? Does that make sense? What type of team members do you need that's essential for any team in your experience?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't speak for any team, but I can speak for teams that I like.
From a business aspect.
Yeah. Well, I think people like people around them that are kind of similar to themselves. So I'm that get it done type, Swiss Army knife type. I'll do whatever I need to do. And I like people around me like that, who are willing to do other things, not just this one little thing, or, I don't want to step outside this comfort zone. I like people that like to stretch and grow and are not afraid of challenges, and that will take on things and are not afraid to learn things, are not afraid of being in front of something that they don't know and have to learn it. To me, those are your best types of teammates, because they just get it done. The objective is to get the tasks done, get the things done.
Right.
Right. And we may not have all the things we need to get it done, but we're going to get together, work together, and figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, and whether especially if you're a solopreneur, you understand this very well because you're doing everything. Right. But and as you get to maybe a company where you have people that are working with you, you still are doing a lot because you may have people doing things, but you still got to help them. You've got to coach them. You got to spend time with them. You got to oversee. Like you really never get away from it.
Yeah.
You never really get a break.
Yeah. Never.
If you really want to do your job well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least I've never had that luxury.
Absolutely. No, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I wanted to ask this question, right? Because as a CEO and as a leader, we're always looking, ahead to the future, even though we're in the now. Right? I call it like just preparation. And I oftentimes say yesterday is gone, tomorrow worry about itself, and today is all we got. Right? That's more of a personal standpoint.
Love it.
But on a business standpoint, you can't necessarily do that all the time. Right? From a professional standpoint, you have to look at the projections of the coming year. You have to see what's coming. You have to see 2 years from now, we're going to be here. 5 years from now, we're going to be here.
That's
this
correct.
and the third, right?
Yep.
So, again, personally, people, I say, yesterday is gone, tomorrow worry about itself. Today's all you got. Impact today the best way you know how. Right? Because you don't know if you have tomorrow. However, that shouldn't negate us or exclude us from preparation. It shouldn't exclude us from preparing for the future. It shouldn't exclude you from saying, you know what, 2 years from now, this is where I want to be. And saying, okay, how am I going to get there? What are the things that I need to put in place? What are the milestones that I need to hit in order for me to actually reach this particular goal at this time? Right. So for you in Adept, what do the next 5 to 10 years look like? What are some of the aspirations that you have for Adept moving forward?
Yeah. So I'd say in the next 2 years, we want to have, so we're working on a redevelopment project right now and work on a small community, about 10 houses. That's going to take another year or so if everything goes well. We're going through diligence right now and engineers and architects and town planning meetings and all this other stuff, so a lot has to be done even before shovels hit the ground.
Wow.
So then after the shovels hit the ground, you're talking about 2 years, we'll have another 10 homes, hopefully.
Gotcha.
Then while that's happening, while those houses are being built, we're already going to be looking for the next plot of land to move forward on and just continue, wash, rinse, repeat. And, so originally, it's funny how things change. When I first got to Adept, it was like, well, my hope was that if I stayed here 10 years, well, I hope in 10 years we'll have 10 new homes. And that would be a great accomplishment. 10 new homes, 1 home a year over 10 years. That, I leave Adept probably doubling or more of the revenue. Maybe almost, 2.5 times the revenue.
Right.
That's pretty cool. But now we're talking about
10 homes.
10 homes in 2 years.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about, okay, while those 10 homes are going up, we're going to find another plot of land and maybe it's 20 homes.
Yeah.
I mean, I could potentially leave Adept in 10 years and they have 100 homes.
Right.
I mean, and not only that, what's even sweeter about it is let's just say we had all those homes and we were able to do all that, and a good number of them we were able to collaborate with other organizations. Right. So we're not only Adept, but we have this kind of coalition with these other groups. And we're helping them.
And with the homes. Right. So we're not talking about just the homes. We're talking about, opportunities for other people that have these disabilities as well too. Absolutely. To receive a home. And not only that, we're also talking about opportunities because guess what? Somebody's got to help run the home.
That's right.
As well. So we're talking about more employment, building the economy at the same time,
That's right.
and helping people and increasing, revenue obviously for the company and everything to go out and do more.
Right.
By the time the next CEO and everything comes in or whatever, you step down, whatever the case may be, they can just take that same model and then expand and go to the next level.
That's right.
Here's where I'm gonna hang my nail, right? What's so dope about this, okay, is, I gotta spin it back to a biblical standpoint, right? And here's what I mean by it. Like, here's my vision. I was talking to Matt and Emma and everything about this as well. Here's my vision, on what I see happening. Because we're more internal, and everything in order for us to be successful, everything starts from the inside out. It's all the internal things that have to happen before the exterior and things and hit the surface, right? So King Solomon was, wisest king to ever live. And if you read about him, if you read about his legacy and his tenure as king he was king for 40 years. But whenever other kings came to see him, the other kings had slaves as well too. But their slaves looked like slaves. King Solomon's slaves didn't look like slaves.
Okay.
So they all look like royalty.
Oh.
The people in the community look like royalty. And you couldn't tell if somebody was a slave or just somebody that just, had a job or whatever the case may be, or if they were somebody else that just is living among, everybody looked like royalty.
Right.
And what I see CEOs, I think that they should take that type of attitude to making everybody look like royalty.
I agree with you. 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, you can elaborate on that, because I think that is super important, not just for the employees, but for the clients, right? The supporters. Everybody should look a part of this, but we should all look like, royalty in a sense.
Absolutely. Royalty, dignity, right?
Yeah.
You want to live with a sense of dignity. You want to live in quality.
Yes.
And that's what I want these communities to imbue.
Yeah.
Quality, dignity, right? Choice, freedom.
Yes.
Right, in that regard. And for staff, I left out a lot about staff. We talk so much about the individuals, but we also want the best for our staff.
Yeah.
Our staff, they sacrifice a lot for their families.
Yeah.
Most of them are very underpaid.
Yeah.
It's not just us. I'm talking about the industry in general.
Right.
We struggle to provide living wages for people that actually provide the, on the ground care.
Right.
So we want to do better.
Right.
The only way we could do better is to grow and give more opportunities. So you're right. You hit it right on the nail. These communities for us, they also require a high level of operationalization. So that means there's going to be opportunity for people, more opportunities for leadership positions, more revenue. Well, obviously, then we can pay better, right? Things like that. We might even be able to provide some emoluments for staff.
Yeah.
Maybe we could provide some staff housing. We're thinking through all these things. Maybe not the first one, but maybe the next one.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Right.
And obviously for our company, we want to leave staff in a good position, and we want them to stay with us. We'd love for them to stay with us through their career. So we want to provide things to help them be able to take care of themselves and their family.
Right. Because I know that a lot of, the staffers, they may have 2 or 3 jobs, one including this, right? Yeah. So that's kind of like, first and foremost, this particular job itself is super draining, right? Because you're taking care of other adults and other individuals, right? And then on top of that, you may have a family of your own that you got to take care of. Yep. So when you mention how you want to be able to grow to increase the revenue so that you can pay better, it makes perfect sense to me, because if you're working 2 to 3 jobs, essentially, really, you're only getting 33% of a person's energy, because they've got to provide another 33% for another job and another 33% for another job, which now they're spreading themselves thin, versus if they had better pay, you get 100%. Right. And if you get 100% of this person at this particular job, that increases the productivity that they'll be able to produce for this particular,
Yeah.
you know,
You have a happier employee.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you said 33, 33, 33. Well, what's left
exactly,
for their family?
exactly,
You
right.
know, so I just think, you know, when a person can have that, feel whole, you know, have a job that they like, and then be able to take time with their family and take care of them and have some time to kind of, you know, recharge. You
Right.
need those days to recharge and get better. So
Yeah.
you absolutely need that. And but unfortunately, socioeconomics for some people, and I've been there. Look, I've had the 2 and 3 jobs. You know, I didn't. You know,
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
yeah, I've come up. I've come up the. I came up the long way. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't come out of school and get thrown into a nice cushy job. I had to work my way through life like everybody else. So I understand, and I want to be able to provide better things for people also. So. Like you said earlier, you know, doing this, when you follow your path and you embrace your path, how it helps others,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is what I'm all about. This is part of my responsibility, I feel. You know, I want to help others by what I'm doing. Me doing this helps smaller companies. It helps people with intellectual and developmental disabilities find homes. If I can find homes for some other people, that's awesome too. Other populations. Hey, and maybe, who knows, we could have people that, you know, are not disabled living in our communities that just have a barrier to buying homes, and we could find a way to finance them a home.
Absolutely.
Right? Why not? It definitely kind of diversifies the neighborhood, right? And makes for a really nice, rich community. And that's what we want.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. Closing thoughts, right? Closing thoughts. You know, what's, you know, something inspiring for your staff, and, you know, and also for others that are watching this podcast and everything. What can they, you know, what are some inspiring words? Because we're actually going into the new year right now. So, you know, into 2024, you know, let's just say Jake Jones has the ear of every listener and everything right now. You know, what is something that you would give them moving forward?
Well, first, be grateful that you're here.
Yeah.
I wake up every day and I think, I'm just thankful that I'm here. That's first. Be grateful of that. If you have a family, be grateful that you have your family and that your family's here. If you have a job you love, be grateful you have that, and do the best you can. If you have a purpose and you know what it is, be grateful that you know what it is and do it to the best of your ability. Find your purpose, run with it. The world needs you to do your purpose and to do it well. Be grateful of that. And then I would say, where you can help others, do that. Other people need light. You're a light. You become a light when you're following your path. You become a light.
Yep.
Right? And other people, you bring them along with you and help them as well. And having that attitude kind of makes you a person that affects the world in a very positive way.
Yeah.
You know, not just yourself. You're obviously going to help yourself, but you're also going to affect the world better. It makes the world a better place.
Yeah.
Inspire others.
Yeah. Yeah.
By your actions.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, Martin Luther King said it best, right? He said, hate cannot drive out hate. Only love could do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I take that and I say, a negative cannot drive out a negative. Only a positive can do that. And oftentimes we wake up and we see the world in such a negative way. We see it in such a negative form because there's so much negativity that is highlighted in our life. However, we overlook the immense amount of positivity that is in our life as well too. And if there's one thing that I've learned, especially being a special needs father, is that, you know, the amount of love that people with special abilities and special needs, they pretty much take it to a totally different level than where we're at, right? We oftentimes take our lives for granted, but like you said earlier, you know, when you were announced as the new director, you know, they came and embraced you and they came with love, and that normally doesn't happen.
Right.
So what am I saying to the people out there? Do something that's not normal. Do something that's outside the box. Do something that is going to take you and everyone else to another level. Be unshakable, but be uncomfortable in doing it. Let's stop being comfortable in our position. If you see something going wrong, fix it, right? Be the solution, not the problem. Because if you're not being the solution, you are part of the problem at the end of the day. And we have to get over the notion of, hey, maybe that's just not my forte. Maybe, but what does that mean? Because guess what? It was presented to you in a certain way in the first place. So therefore, you may be the one that can spark the change inside the community, inside the neighborhood, inside the workplace, inside the home. Like, you can be the one. You were given a voice for a reason, so start to use that voice. Don't let 2024 go all the way by like 2023 and you did nothing at the end of the day. Right? Stop just waking up and just saying, I'm just here. You're not just here. You're here to, like you said, to your point, to be a light, right? Be a light, because a lot of us are living in darkness. A lot of us are living in it's so dark that you can feel it. It's so dark that you can taste it. It's so dark that it's just like it's on you. It's not even like it's nighttime outside. No, it's complete darkness. And the fact is that you have the ability to change that and be the light, because there's a light inside you. But you have to be the one that has to push forward and say, you know what, enough is enough. I want my life to mean something. I want to do something. You don't have to be the next Elon Musk. You can be the next. You can be the next. You can be the next whatever your name is. Right? That's who you are at the end of the day. Whatever your name is, you are the next that. Be that and do that, and I guarantee you will leave this world a better place than the way that you found it. Will you change everything in the world? No. Because this is an ongoing process, right? But what you will do is your job, and do what it is that you're called to do, whether that's being a great mom, a great father, a great leader, a great CEO, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? And for the CEOs out there, listen, you don't have to take on everything by yourself, right? I get that you have made it to a certain level, but understand this, okay? Just because you've made it to a certain level doesn't mean that you have to stop learning, because you always got new people that are coming up under you. So those people think, move, and learn differently. So it's our job to be the teacher, and you understand things better by teaching others as well too. So never stop learning. Never stop growing. I had to go on that rant real quick. You know what I'm saying?
That was beautiful.
Because I had I just want people to win at the end of the day. Like, I just want you to win. Like, stop playing, yo. 2024, stop playing. Don't give me a resolution. Don't give me like a goal. Do it. Just do it. I don't want you to have goals in 2024. I want you to have milestones. It's a huge difference. Like, you got a goal, that's cool. But if you don't have no milestones in between, it's like basically you got 2 slices of bread and you just eating a plain sandwich, right? You got to put some meat in the middle. You got to put some mayo on it, some onions, tomatoes, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Inside that bad boy. Otherwise, you're going to have a bread sandwich, right? So you got 2 things that's going to be meat and there's nothing in between. There's got to be a milestone so that you can have a great taste at the end of that particular goal. With that being said, everybody, for my man, Jake, where can they find you? Can they find you in here? I'm not sure if you're on social media or anything like that. But
well, I have LinkedIn too.
Okay. They can find you on LinkedIn?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Jake J. Jones.
Okay.
Yep, on LinkedIn. Or you can contact me at adeptprograms.com.
Adept program. How can the people donate?
Oh, just go to adeptprograms.com.
Okay.
And you'll see our donate section.
Okay.
Just hit the button and say.
Elaborate donate. That on real quick. How does the donations help, Adept?
Oh, they help with everything. They supply the money we need to help enhance our programs, enhance care. We use it for operations, etc. So, we use the money well and responsibly.
Amen. Awesome. My man. With that being said, everybody, let's make sure you guys go ahead and like, subscribe, comment. If you want to learn more about Adept programs, if you want to learn more about how can you get involved, listen, there'll be a link in the description below. And make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to all social media sites when it comes to Adept. And also, make sure that you want to get into the Unshakable Method program. Go to www.kennethallenthomas.com. If you want to elevate your personal and professional growth, listen, I got some cool guides, some cool things that's on there. I got an ebook that's up there right now if you want to go ahead and grab that. We also got some really, really cool video modules that can help you through your personal life and professional life, give you some good steps, some practical tools, things that you can actually do immediately that's going to have an immediate impact and immediate change in your life, taking it to the next level. All right, www.kennethalenthomas.com. Find me, Kenny Clutch _ all that good stuff. Remember, y'all, when we change the mind, we change the game. All right, yesterday is gone, tomorrow worried about itself, and today is all we got. And today is all you got. You make sure you impact today the best way you know how. Merry Christmas. I love you all. One love. God bless. Peace. My man.
Nice work.
Yes, sir.
You are good.